So we've seen that Mike Pence has gone to Jerusalem. He said we're going to move the embassy next year, 2019. Is this a moving up of the timing? Because when the president first announced it, some people speculated it'd take a while to do it. It seems like it's going ahead pretty fast.
Well, it does seem to be that way. Certainly the Trump administration initially indicated that it would take maybe years before the embassy would be moved. Now the timetable has moved forward, and I think that suggests in part the recognition on the part of the Trump administration that its peace plan is in tatters, and therefore it doesn't really have any consequences by moving the embassy more soon.
Is it also perhaps a reaction to the fact that there was not the outcry in a lot of the Arab world that a lot of people anticipated? There were some objections, there were some criticisms, but it was not the explosion that people had anticipated.
Well, there wasn't the kinds of mass violence that some people feared, but certainly overwhelmingly the Arab reaction was negative, and this is something that has just been reiterated in Vice President Pence's meetings with President Sisi and King Abdullah of Jordan. So although the violence that some feared didn't take part, certainly the reaction has been very negative, and particularly among the Palestinians and the Palestinian Authority, which I think has reacted even more strongly than many people thought it would.
And Vice President Pence has very strong ties to U.S. evangelicals. How is he perceived in the region?
Well, he is really perceived primarily as a kind of spokesperson for the evangelical Christian community, particularly when it comes to Israel. He has long been outspoken when it comes to Israel in his support for Israel and in his criticisms of the Palestinian Authority. And I think of all the figures from the Trump administration to come to the region right now, he is in many ways the most polarizing, precisely because he is so closely associated in the minds of many in the region with President Trump's recognition of Jerusalem.
Vice President Pence today in his joint press conference with Netanyahu, he said that this was an opportunity for broad reconciliation in the Middle East. How does his arrival in the region, as well as President Trump's decision to make Jerusalem the capital of Israel, work towards peace talks and moving towards those some progress there?
Well, despite what Vice President Pence was saying, it's really hard to see how, in any way, the decision about Jerusalem can advance the peace process. I mean, the mere fact that the Palestinian Authority have completely refused to meet with Pence, I think indicates very clearly that what this has done is essentially align the Trump administration so closely with the position of the Netanyahu government as to make really any resumption of a serious peace process almost impossible.
Dov, you said that the U.S. initiative for peace there is in tatters, was the word you used. Is there anyone in a position to step in and pick up the baton if the United States can't do it? And more pointedly, is the two-state solution dead?
Well, I do think for the time being that there is no alternative to the United States serving as a mediator in trying to broker a resolution of the conflict towards a two-state solution. Now, whether a two-state solution is dead, I mean, I think ultimately it's been declared dead many times. I think ultimately it is still possible to put forward a two-state solution and implement one if the political will is there on both sides. Right now, there is no political will either among the Palestinians or for that matter, among the Israelis. Netanyahu government is also opposed to a two-state solution. So I think for the time being and for the foreseeable future, it's not going to happen. But I think ultimately, whether it's a year's time, the two-state solution still remains the only viable solution to resolving this long and tragic and bitter conflict.